streaming our meeting. So thank you so much for your patience on us getting set up, and thanks to all of our audiovisual help from the school and the county and our staff for pulling it all together. And we're not at all surprised that the room is full, because that's how Beaufort rolls, right?
Yeah.
That's right. So thank you so much for being here. I'm Shirley Erickson, and I am proud to represent South Carolina House District 124, and I co-chair this Department of Transportation Modernization AdHoc Committee. As a mouthful. These are issues for the statewide DOT process, and we have membership in this committee from all over the state, members of the House of Representatives, and it's a bipartisan, fully supported House committee, and we're very happy to be here with you all today. We're going to pass a mic around if we have to, or maybe you can hear from the mics in the middle for each member to introduce themselves, and then we'll get into a little bit of housekeeping of how the meeting will roll on. Good to go? All right. I've introduced myself. I'll pass this to the left to my co-chair, Heather Crawford.
Hello, good afternoon. I am Heather Crawford, and I represent District 68. That's Horry County, South Myrtle Beach, Greater Socastee, Forest Brook, and Burgess areas.
Good afternoon. My name is Ken Brillgard, and I serve South Carolina House District 77, located in Richland County. It's great to be here.
Good afternoon. My name is Don Chapman. I'm District 8 in Anderson County.
Good afternoon, I'm Robbie Robbins. I represent District 97, which is Western Dorchester and Northern Colleton.
Good afternoon, Philip Bowers. I represent District 3 up in Pickens County. Glad to be here. Thank y'all for coming.
Michael Rivers, I represent District 121 in the great place that you are in, paradise. Beaufort and Colleton counties. Hope you enjoy yourself here. Thanks.
Bill Hager, House District 122. I represent parts of Colleton County, all of Hampton County, parts of Jasper County, and a little bit of Beaufort County. I've been in Beaufort area for about 40 years. Used to be an engineer with Dominion or SCANA, and call this home.
Good afternoon, I'm Brian Lawson. I represent District 30, which is parts of Cherokee and Spartanburg County.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Mark Smith. I represent House District 99 in Berkeley County. That is Daniel Island, Hanahan, and Clements Ferry Road area.
Hey guys, my name is David Martin. I represent District 26. That's the east side of Fort Mill. Good to be here.
Hey everybody, James Teeple. I represent District 116, which is Charleston County and Colleton County. Good to be here. Appreciate it.
Good afternoon. My name is David Bond, represent District 27, which is Greenville County.
Hello, my name is Mark Willis. I represent District 16 in Greenville and Lawrence counties.
Hello, and thank you all for having us. I'm Bill Hickson. I represent House District 83, which is Aiken and Edgefield County.
Hey, I'm Stephen Long. I represent District 37 in Northern Spartanburg County. Thanks for welcoming us here today.
Great to be with you. I'm Roger Kirby. I live in Lake City, represent Lawrence County, Williamsburg County, and Berkeley County in House District 101.
Thank you so much. You can see we're well represented across the state. Strong.
Thank you. Again, thank you so much for having us here today. Also would like to introduce to my left over here, Emma Hall. She is our Public Works and Staff Attorney for the Education Committee in the House. And over here, hiding in this corner, Mills Carlton. He is our Transportation and Regulatory Budget Analyst on our House Ways and Means Committee. Now I am going to ask Representative Rivers to open us up in prayer. I'll pass this around.
Don't pray. Let us pray. Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day. We thank you for this opportunity. We thank you for this pleasure and this privilege to come and do the work for the people of the state as we continue to move forward and address transportation problems. Father, we just thank you now. We thank you for this meeting and its success. We thank you for everything that will be done decent and in order. In the name and nature of Jesus the Christ, amen.
Amen.
Let's place the flag.
Please rise for the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, so we're gonna get started in just a minute, just kind of a little bit of housekeeping stuff. Members, you have the stuff in front of you for the presentations today. Will it be on the screen? Yes. It will also be on the screen here behind us so that everyone in the audience can see. Anyone has any questions or needs anything, let us know. Mills is giving you some more stuff to our members. Also, we are going to start in just a few minutes with the South Carolina Department of Environmental Services presentation. And then we have Secretary Justin Powell from SCDOT here today. Will give us an update. And then we will do our public testimony. Just as a reminder, our public testimony, we will have a time clock and we will ask you to please be respectful of that time. We want to make sure everybody gets heard. So we'll announce some of that as we get to that part of the agenda. But I also do want to let you know that we have some local SCDOT representatives here today. Tim Henderson, maybe in the back, raising his hand. Tim Henderson, we've got some of our great DOT folks and some local DOT staff here that can help you. If you have a question, if you have a local problem, if you have a pothole, if you have an intersection, anything like that that needs to be addressed, those are your guys. So that's who you need to see. That's who you want to make sure you're connected with.
Don't get it twisted, huh?
Oh, they still count. They are here and they will be here the whole time and they are here to help you. You guys have some great representatives here in your area. They are here to help you. Please utilize them. Take this time to talk to them about your issues that you have locally. Because as a reminder, this committee is for the entire state, and we are hoping to get your input today and your feedback during your public testimony of different things that pertain to modernizing DOT statewide. So any local issues, if you want to be heard, they can help you, and they are happy to address that. So please be sure to see them. Again, that's Tim, and there's some others floating around in the back there that can help you. So with that, I think we're going to get started with our agenda.
Thank you, Representative Crawford. The theme of this meeting, we've kind of focused on different things as we traveled around the state. And Emma Mills, I can't remember, is this fifth or sixth meeting we've had? Here, fifth hearing? Fifth hearing we've had? Yeah, we're trying not to count, but it's around the fifth hearing. We've tried to look at various things around the state and around DOT. Our area is specifically quite often, given our topography, quite interested in environmental issues when we talk about roads and development. And so we've asked today and are very pleased to have Mr. Henry Porter, who's the Deputy Director for our environmental programs from the South Carolina Department of Environmental Services, and very thankful to have you here and present to us today on how you guys work within this system of roads and make South Carolina stay green as we can be.
Yeah, thank you for having me here, Madam Co-Chair. And I have a couple of other folks that are with our agency that are here with me today too. I want to introduce them. Buck Brown is our legislative liaison. I know a lot of y'all work closely with him on issues that you have in your districts. And then Chris Stout is over our coastal programs, and I know probably some of you who are down here and your districts expand into the coastal areas have worked closely with Chris. So glad to have both of them here with me today. I am the Deputy Director for our environmental programs at DES. Myra Reese is our agency head. She is in a Water SC committee today, so was not able to be here, but certainly sends her regrets for not being able to be here. So we are a pretty new agency. We've been in existence for just a little over a year now. Environmental Services was formed from the division of DHEC. And we have the environmental programs that used to be part of Department of Health and Environmental Control. So I wanted to cover today kind of what our agency does in general briefly, our involvement with transportation projects across the state, and also some improvements that we've been making within the agency that I think are going to impact not only our work with DOT, but really all the work we do across the state. So the previous slide, can we go back to that one? So we like to say that all roads lead to the Department of Environmental Services. And really that's because so much of what happens in the state requires environmental permitting. And so we touch really every citizen of the state in one way or another, whether that is through the permitting that we do or through the protection that we provide with making sure that we have clean air and water in the state, and all the other things that we do. So we'll move to the next slide. I mentioned that the environmental programs that were part of DHEC moved over with us into environmental services. So these are a list of the programs. What we also had a couple of programs that had been in DNR that moved over, the water planning program and the nuisance aquatic species program have come over with us and are in our Bureau of Water. You can go to the next slide. So we have multiple programs that that in one way or another really kind of touch the transportation and road construction in the state. So some of them are directly involved with permitting road projects, and then we have some others that support that. So our Bureau of our coastal program has a coastal zone management program, which for any of the construction projects that are in the 8 coastal counties, that's an additional review that's done for those projects. We also have in our land and waste management, a lot of times if there's structures that have to be taken down as part of highway projects, there may be some asbestos work that has to be done as part of that. And then our water program, we have our stormwater permitting program, our 401 water quality program, and then our navigable waters program. I will mention DOT has been able to help us out by providing some resources for those water quality programs. They are the ones that involve the most amount of permitting, and that's helped us really to be able to streamline and prioritize those projects and make sure that we're meeting the schedule that DOT has for those projects. We also have a number of other activities that support road construction in the state. So our Bureau of Air Quality issues permits for asphalt plants, ready-mix plants, and then I know some of y'all who have counties that are districts that cover Orangeburg or Dorchester County know that we manufacture cement here in South Carolina too, and so we regulate that activity of manufacturing cement. Our Bureau of Coastal Management permits really, or has involvement with permitting really anything along the coast. So if we've got any kind of construction related to that, whether it's mining or ready-mix plants or asphalt plants, they would have a role in doing those CZC reviews for those. We permit mines, so probably in the coastal counties, it's mostly sand mines, but across the state, we have a number of quarries that we also permit. And those are essential for road construction, and they're also essential for just the growth of the state and having those materials for construction. And then, of course, with our Water Bureau, like with the transportation projects, stormwater is involved with really any kind of construction project. If there's core permits needed, then our 401 project or permitting process would be involved. And then for any of our larger industrial plants that have wastewater discharges, we permit those too. So I will mention, talk a little bit about mining. So for DOT borrow pits, those are exempt from our mining requirements and mining regulations. So that's also a time saving or streamlining that we have so that those don't have to go through our permitting process for that. They do still require stormwater permitting, but not mining permitting. So we can go to the next slide. Y'all have put some new requirements on us for getting permits issued more quickly, and we're up to the challenge. So we have a number of things that we're doing to meet the new expectations for us to issue permits within 90 days. And for most of our permitting programs, we'll be able to meet that 90 days. There are going to be some that we can't, some which I'll probably want us to take a little bit more time for. Landfills are one of those. Any of our larger industrial plants and industrial activities may take more than 90 days. But in those cases, what we're doing to provide some certainty is sitting down with the applicant, developing a timeline for their needs for permits, and working from that. We kind of work back from there to make sure that we're supporting getting the permits at the date that they need them. We call it an off-ramp. It basically is the process that we use to address those projects that we can't do within 90 days. We are not cutting out any of our technical review. We've got to make sure that we've got defensible permits. And so we do a full technical review. It's not this trying to meet shorter time frame is not impacting the quality of our review. There's some things that we're doing to work with applicants to make sure that we get quality applications, because quality applications are really key to us being able to meet shorter time frames. So our programs are working on some guidelines and working directly with the consultants that submit those applications to us to be able to get better quality applications, make sure that they're complete. We're also doing a lot of pre-application meetings, which is another step in the process that helps us make sure that we're getting good quality applications. We can move to the next slide. So the Energy Security Act gave us some other timeframes. I won't spend too much time on this, but we have 6 months for those permit timeframes. We do have some dedicated staff working on those energy projects and are currently working on a number of permits with the utilities under this Energy Act. And really, I think it's helping us to have really better, closer working work with the applicants and with the utilities and their contractors. So gaining efficiency is the way that we're going to meet these new permitting timeframes. The public participation process is something that we are always going to make sure that we have a robust process there. We're looking at trying to run that to the extent that we can, kind of in parallel with our technical review of our permits, and we've got some dedicated staff that help us with our public participation. So that helps us not have to use so much of our technical staff that do the permit reviews in that process. We're looking at some internal process improvements, and I'll talk a little bit more about that. Stakeholder outreach and engagement really helps us to be able to go ahead and engage with those interested stakeholders early on in the permitting process to be able to factor in both what their concerns are and then also help them develop the relationship with the applicant. The other thing that we're doing is weekly engagement with our permitting programs. So our Monday mornings are spent meeting with our assistant bureau chiefs. Those are kind of the second in line with our management in the programs. And we've got dashboards for each one of our permitting programs. We pull up those dashboards and look at where we are with that 90-day time frame or the 6-month time frame with the energy projects. And if there's an issue that they're not able to address, say for instance, if we don't have enough staff in a particular program, if they've got vacancies, we've got our operations chief in that meeting with us too. And we have the right people there to make sure that we're addressing any shortfalls that we have and any areas that we need to make enhancements with the programs to try to meet these timeframes. So the other thing that we've been doing is a Lean Six Sigma evaluation of our permitting programs, and we ultimately want to do this for all of our permitting programs. We've got an engineer with a black belt in Lean Six Sigma that's helping us do deep dives into these programs. We started out with our on-site wastewater program. I know a couple of y'all used to contact us pretty frequently asking about septic tank permits, and we've made some huge strides in that program and are getting those permits issued much quicker than we have in the past. Chris's Coastal Zone Consistency Certification Program is another one that we've gone through that full review, and probably, Chris, I think cut the time frame about in half from where we had been in the past with that. The Coastal Stormwater Program, we've gone through the full review, have some recommendations on some improvements there, and are working on implementing that. Our next programs that we're engaging in right now are our wastewater discharge program. That's both our municipal and our industrial wastewater program. And then our regular stormwater program, which is a little bit different than the coastal stormwater program because it's not only across the whole state, but has some other features that make it a little bit different. So we're doing a deep dive into that process too. So. So the other thing that we're doing is using technology to help us with efficiency. So some of y'all have probably heard us talking about our e-permitting system. That's our electronic permitting system that we have. We've got about 30 of our programs that are using that system now. We've got about 6 more to go, and we'll have all of our environmental programs in e-permitting. One of the things that we have found is that the applicants for our federal permitting programs have to go through an identity verification process. And that has not been a good process in the past, but we are right on the cusp of having an improvement for that, using an online verification for that. I think that will be available as early as this week with that process. So that's going to help a lot too. We've been having Permit Central workshops across the state to get input from our applicants and the consultants to get additional ideas on what we can do to enhance the permitting system for them. And just, always looking for improvements that we can make in our e-permitting system. We're also looking at integrating AI into the work that we do. Myra and I were just at a conference yesterday and heard about some great opportunities to use AI within just document management. And so I think that's really going to be an opportunity for us to make some significant enhancements in the way that we do the work we do, and it'll result in us being able to do it faster and better quality work too. So we've got the contractor with e-permitting is working with us to develop a tool that will help our permitting staff to be able to get a quick summary of the status of information that's been submitted for a permit, and that will help us. They won't have to spend as much of their time looking at individual projects to determine which one they should work on that day. And we're also working with a vendor on a tool that would create a draft wastewater discharge permit. So would not be a final product. It would just give us a starting point for those of y'all who might be using ChatGPT or other AI tools. You know, sometimes it's just getting that starting point that really helps you be able to move on to getting kind of a final product. So that's what we're trying to do with that. Other things that we're doing, we're migrating from a legacy electronic document management system to a more modern electronic document management system. And the real advantage that the public gets from that is we're going to be able to make a lot of our records more readily available to the public with this new system. And we're looking at also using GIS as tools to make that information available. One of the things that we're doing right now, a project that we hope to have finished by the end of this year, we call it phase one project, but it's making that environmental information that's needed for property transfers readily available through a GIS application on our website. We're always looking for opportunities to improve what we're doing, and technology is going to be one of the things that helps us get there. So, and I've got my contact information and Buck's contact information here, and certainly are always available to y'all to help with any issue that you have or any questions that you have. And I'll be glad to take any questions that you might have in my presentation here.
Thank you, Henry. Appreciate that. That's very detailed. Do we have any members of the committee who have questions? Mr. Smith.
Thank you. Thank you, Henry, for that incredible presentation. On the 90-day permit issue period, congratulations first and foremost on using key stakeholders regarding the public engagement process. So with the limited staff that you have in place, they're able to focus on getting those permits out there. So utilizing the assets you have around you, including those key stakeholders, is certainly allowing you, as you said, to do more with less. And that's incredible. Specifically on that, you mentioned the dashboards, those KPIs that your leaders are able to monitor. In the spirit of public access, are those KPIs and dashboards available yet, or is the plan to get those, move those to public access at some point?
Yeah, they are not available yet, but we do have a plan to put those on our webpage. So
Great.
We are do want to be very transparent with that. And I think that helps to provide some certainty, especially with those applicants that want to look at, they're going to need environmental permits to know how long it's taking us to issue permits. So yes, sir, we do plan to put those on our webpage.
Awesome, thank you. And Chair Lady said I can't get too much in the weeds on my next question, but just on a high level, for the benefit of the team here, that the ad hoc committee rather, that's here and those in the audience. We know that there are 8 states that have adopted the NEPA standards that include Alaska, Arizona, California, Florida, Nebraska, Ohio, Texas, and Utah. And they've talked about the benefits of the states adopting that NEPA process. It allows it to have faster project delivery and regulatory cost savings, and certainly the improvement of accountability and process innovation that you already mentioned. In your opinion, do you have a position on South Carolina moving forward in joining those 8 states to join that effort?
I think from our standpoint, anything that can make the process happen faster, we are certainly in favor of that, and feel like we have very robust programs here in the state and can do good quality reviews.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any other questions? John, Henry, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Appreciate you being here, and I imagine you'll stick around a little bit in case people have questions.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you so much. And we miss Myra today. Please tell her that She was missed, but she's off doing important work too, so
I'll let her know. Thank
thank you
you.
so much.
Thanks.
Up next is Secretary Justin Powell, Department of Transportation. Welcome, Justin. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Madam Chair, for this very intimate session here. So I just want to spend a few minutes with y'all catching up about what is going on. As all of you know, we divide the state up into 7 engineering districts. You are in District 6, which covers Beaufort County, but also Jasper County, Colleton County, Berkeley, Dorchester, and Charleston. So all of the operations for our area, we have maintenance and construction office personnel here in Beaufort County, but out of Charleston is where kind of the district leadership is. And I think Chair Crawford pointed out Tim Henderson and his team, and happy to answer questions or things that have come up. I'll quickly just move through. Obviously, this committee, we have made tremendous progress in the past 8 years since the General Assembly passed the 2017 roads bill. That was a fix-it-first bill. It was really to catch up on 30 years of deferred maintenance that we had on our system, address pavements, address bridges, address safety issues, and I'll share a little bit about that. But I think as this committee moves forward, I think in Beaufort County and Jasper counties are in the epicenter of it. South Carolina is changing very, very rapidly in terms of the growth that we are seeing, and I think you see that particularly here, but also in other counties that you all represent. And so certainly, we're going to have to be able to change business from where we are. One of the things that was good about the 2017 roads bill is that it required the DOT to do a meaningful, measurable, results-driven plan on if dollars were granted to the department, how would we respond to that? And we focused in 4 key areas. First, rural road safety. South Carolina has the unfortunate distinction of having one of the nation's highest road fatality rates as a whole, but the highest rural road fatality rate. And we've seen it, have been implementing projects, had set out a goal of 1,000 miles. We've already gotten 1,200 miles underway. And thanks to some investments last fiscal year by the General Assembly, we were able to that goal to 1,300 miles rural road safety projects. I'll talk a little bit about it in Jasper County. We just are wrapping up Highway 321 as an example of that project where we've added wider shoulders, rumble strips, better signage in there. We're continuing to represent Hager's District next in Hampton County. Paving, is this committee well aware, but the public may not be, South Carolina has the 4th largest state highway system in the country. Only Texas, Virginia, and North Carolina have bigger systems than we do at 41,000 miles of road. What that means is a lot of roads that would be local government roads in New York and New Jersey or Pennsylvania are state highways here. We have been able to get 9,700 miles of paving projects underway, so approximately a quarter of the system. We will be kicking off our lettings now. This last month was the first major letting for the paving cycle. Our commission added another 700 miles to our plan this past May. Bridges are an area of continued emphasis, a real challenge. We'll say that in the lower half of the state, our bridges are actually better condition than they are in the upper part of the state, which you would think the opposite due to salt water and the tides and all that. But we have a very good model here. Kevin Turner, who's in the back here, is our district bridge engineer. We replicated the model that his team does here in the Beaufort and Charleston areas to replicate what we do in every part of the state so that we can kind of focus on that bridge maintenance. But it's an area we're going to continue to work on as we have 2,400 bridges in South Carolina older than 60 years old. And if we don't improve upon our current pace of investment, that number grows to 3,900 or just under half of the bridges in the state.
Wow.
And then lastly, our interstate program, very robust interstate program with projects happening in all corners of the state of South Carolina. And I will hit the next slide. So in terms of the construction projects that we have going on right now across Beaufort and Jasper counties, first one is the US 17 widening of Speedway Boulevard, basically the way down to Savannah from here. That project takes a long time. Part of that is just the fill that's required. So by widening in the marsh there, required a lot of time for it to settle. So pavement's working on that and be completed next year. I talked about the 321 Rural Road Safety Project in Jasper and Hampton. We've been working very closely with I see Chair Howard here with Beaufort County on the US 278 Corridor Improvements Project, and we are in design right now to move forward with replacing the eastbound spans on US 278 between Bluffton and Hilton Head. And then probably the biggest thing and the largest contract ever signed by the Department of Transportation is the widening of I-95 between the Georgia border to exit 8 as part of our overall plan to widen up to exit 33. That contract is just getting underway. The contractor is being clearing and working on that project, but will be a major effort to widen a well-known and well-documented choke point from there. Our next slide, and again, once we build it, we have to maintain it. One, to just give you some context, obviously, we have a large system, 8,400 bridges, 41,000 miles of road. Just within the 6 counties of District 6 here, about 4,900 miles of roadway. That is a system as large as many states in terms of state highways here. 1,000 bridges, 71,000 road signs. The crews and our contractors mow 75,000 acres every year, 640 miles of clear ditching. In this area, we do about 77,000 potholes in a given year. So with that, Madam Chair, I'm happy to answer any questions from last meetings or anything related to specific activities for that year the low country.
Yeah.
Thank you, Justin. It's great to have you here, and highlight of the year is the groundbreaking for I-95. I think it's folks in the room will tell you you've been waiting for that a long time. For safety and for tourism and for economic development. So thank you for your help on that. That was a huge undertaking. We appreciate that. Members, any questions? Mr. Robin?
The Secretary, for the benefit of the committee and for those that live in this area, can you give us a little more of a update? Can you give us a little more of an update on the status of the replacement of the 278 bridges?
Sure. So that project is kind of a 3-party funded agreement. So this it was in the Beaufort County sales tax referendum back in 2018, if I remember the year correctly. The DOT, we have concerns about the existing eastbound bridge over Mackey Creek, which is really the original bridge to Hilton Head. And then the State Infrastructure Bank has put in funding. Due to the inflation that we've seen basically in the intervening 4 or 5 years from when that was funded, the project is really going to be focused on replacing the eastbound span. So it'll be a new eastbound span completely from Bluffton to Hilton Head. It'll be built for 3 lanes, but will be striped for 2 at the beginning here. We are working with the county on a grant application right now that's pending with USDOT to try to get the other half of the bridge. But we did position for the growth of that area within the funds available, as well as deal with that one aging bridge structure that was built in the 1950s that is rated as poor right now.
And what is the status of I know when I was on the commission, there was some concern about the entryway onto Hilton Head Island. Has that been worked out?
So that was part of the permitting process that we worked through. Now, what the kind of the scope of the project has shrunk, so there was going to be a whole bunch more additional work on the island coming in when it was a 6-lane facility. Those plans have been basically put on hold as we're looking at just dealing with bridge structure alone right now.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Kirby?
Thank you, sure. Secretary Powell, thank you again for being with us. If you don't mind, could you give our group just a brief update on the issue with the I-95 bridges at Lake Marion? I think anybody who drives north obviously crosses that, and we'd appreciate just a general update.
Yes, sir. So we have what we call a mega bridge list. There are 6 bridges in the state that we identified as being critical or aging out. The I-95 bridge over Lake Marion was one of them. Also nearby your neck of the woods, the I-95 bridge over the Great PD River. The Ashley River Bridge in Charleston is on that list as well as a couple of the I-85 bridges in the upstate. We have been working that bridge is narrow, does not have shoulders. So if you have a crash on that, it's about a mile long. So there's often safety concerns that happen from just people having a breakdown on that bridge. Bridge was built in 1968. So what we have pursued a federal grant for that one that we received last year. We're in the middle of the procurement for it right now. We will be opening price proposals, publicly announcing them later this month on the 23rd. And so we'll be able to announce that and look forward to moving forward with construction on that. But would be building a facility to handle 6 lanes of traffic as opposed to the current 4 lanes of traffic. The other kind of major component to that bridge is we would be adding a connection for the Palmetto Trail to cross Lake Marion and replace, there's the old US 301 bridge there. That bridge has a low rating of 2 tons, Stephanie. 2 tons, so which is, we build our bridges for 40 tons, so aging structure there. The other thing that we will be doing, it was a priority for Congressman Clyburn when we were kind of working on the grant application. The bridge will be built strong enough to carry a water line from Santee into lower Clarendon County, which is an area that has some really major water quality issues down there.
Excellent. Thank you.
This one. Mr. Chapman?
When it comes to the cost of bridges, obviously that's a huge cost compared to road construction, but do we have a classification about specifically from upstate to the lower part of the state, depth of foundation, length of the bridge itself versus number of lanes, so that we can categorize which ones are the most important and where they fall safety wise?
So, I mean, we set bridges for basically kind of a consistent design standard, so we'll have a shoulder on them from a safety perspective. But when we go into our design, and one of the things that we are reviewing right now is, issues for earthquakes are more of an issue for this part of the state than they are in other parts of the state. So we've been looking at making sure that we have the seismic and the flood standards right for the conditions of where it is, because issues in your district there in Anderson County are going to be more of a narrow kind of creek bed challenge, whereas down here, you're going to be dealing a lot more with tidal influences and from there. So we've been trying to kind of streamline and improve our bridge delivery format. So basically, we're building the right bridge in the right context. Thank you.
Mr. Smith? No. Are you running for office, Mr. Smith?
Thank you, Madam Chairman. I heard there may be a seat open in DC. Secretary Powell, thank you for all you do. And the same question, and again, high level, no detail expected on this, but we know that one of our pain points is shovel readiness of projects. Do you have an opinion, or does DOT have an opinion of South Carolina joining the 8 states who've taken that NEPA process back to help with those?
Yeah, certainly, no, I think it's an area that I'm very interested in for doing NEPA assignment. I've had conversations with states large and small, I talk pretty frequently with my counterpart in Florida. The perspective is that it could streamline months or years off of project delivery. The other issue that we've had is because of some of the staffing cutbacks at the federal level right now. Right now in South Carolina, our permits are not being done by a federal highway employee in South Carolina. It's being done by one in North Carolina right now. We end up doing most of the work. We do a lot of coordination with DES. We do a ton of coordination with the Army Corps of Engineers in the Charleston district. We have the relationships. We have that opportunity. It does not change the ultimate standard by which a project is done, but I think allows us to better prioritize and better align to what South Carolina needs to do. So I think it would require statutory change for us to pursue, but if the General Assembly did do that, we would be interested in pursuing it.
Thank you, sir. Thanks.
Anyone else?
Can you get him to explain what NEPA is for the audience?
Certainly. We've had a request that you explain it.
It's called the National Environmental Policy Act. It was enacted in the 1970s. It is the coordination process by which the federal government assigns basically a project with federal funds, the impacts it may have on that area. And it's the standards, basically, the lowest is called a categorical exclusion, where you have a very minimal impact on it, all the way up to what's called an environmental impact statement, which would be your very largest and most complex projects. That decision is done by an agency. Right now, for our projects, that's the Federal Highway Administration. And what Representative Smith was asking me about was basically there is an opportunity where Federal Highway Administration can delegate that down to South Carolina for us to administer.
Thank you.
Streamline's always good. Justin, would you, for me, one thing that was missing from the presentation, my favorite part, even though it's not good news, can you run through what's happened to our gas tax and the penny and the difference we're seeing now due to costs? Can you run through that with us just one more time to remind folks of where we are?
Sure. There are two major issues affecting SCDOT from really when we were in 2017. The first one is the cost of delivering projects. So when we passed the gas tax, or when the General Assembly passed the gas tax in 2017, we could buy with that 1 penny of the gas tax, which was about $36 million per year. We could buy 114 miles of two-lane paving with it. Last fiscal year, we could do 87 miles of two-lane paving with that same penny of the gas tax. Part of that is fuel economy, part of that is electric vehicles. Part of it is just like anything in your own homes and businesses and going to the grocery store, that same price increase you see in your home, personal lives is affecting us on the construction side as well.
What were those numbers again? What it would buy?
So basically 7 years ago, it was 8 years ago was 114 miles of two-lane repaving. Today it is 87.
30%.
So.
Thank you. I think that's important for us to keep it in focus of what we're able to actually do. Thank you, Justin. Any other questions of our secretary?
Thank you, sir.
Representative Crawford.
Thank you. Just really quick, you mentioned a stat at the beginning of the presentation, fourth largest road system in the country. We know that, but you said Texas, and what were the other two states that we followed?
So it is, Texas has the largest state highway system. North Carolina is the second largest, and they're about 90,000 miles. We're at 41,000 miles. Virginia's in the 50,000 mile range. That's the number 3. We're number 4. To put it into context, Georgia, just over the line right now, is a 17,000 mile state highway system. Florida, which is 5 times our population, has a 12,000 mile state highway system.
I just think that it really does kind of lay out what we're dealing with and working with here for everybody to understand what we're managing, what you guys are managing around the state in a small state like South Carolina.
Yeah, and I think the other key point is our growth rate has accelerated, is complicating that in terms of just the demands in our system. So prior to, for 2 prior censuses, prior to 2020, we were adding about 500 and 600,000 people per year in each one of those censuses. COVID has changed our growth rates. And so I think the last estimate, we'd already added close to 400,000 people in just that 4 years. So the growth pressures that you're seeing, particularly in Beaufort County, Jasper County, but Horry County, like your county, Greenville, the Charlotte suburbs, all across South Carolina, seeing that very rapid rate of growth that is adding that congestion that we're seeing on the roadway network on top of the maintenance challenges we've been working on for the past 7 years.
Absolutely. Thank you. Well, thank you guys for being here today. Thank you for what you do. Appreciate you.
Mr. Kirby.
Just another follow-up. I apologize. But when you were talking about the actual number, sheer number of roads, and also the issue with our loss of a portion of the revenue because of costs associated, where do we stack up in South Carolina now relative to road miles and funding, dedicated funding? Nationally, when we passed this gas tax back in 2017, we were at the very bottom nationally. How far up the ladder have we come?
So the gas tax rate before the act was at 16 cents. After phase-in, it's now at 28.75 cents. We are just in the middle of the pack, just below. Last time I think we were 28th is the last time I saw it. Obviously, it changes kind of at the beginning of the fiscal year and the calendar year, which each state does. But we're middle of the pack. For context, Georgia is around 31 cents per gallon for gasoline. Our neighbors up in North Carolina are over 40 cents per gallon gas tax.
Thank
you. Thank you. Yep. Representative Jackson.
All right. I need clarification again, because like a 2-lane highway that is in the upstate that may have a 50-foot foundation under it versus the picture that I'm seeing on that has for the lower part of the state, 6 lanes wide. Is there a classification separation between the types of bridges versus the amount of use that bridge gets so that we can prioritize certain ones over others that may need repair? Because there's so many that need to be repaired.
Yeah. So, what I kind of, that each bridge design is designed for where the conditions are within that area. So if it's granite in your part of the state, that helps us build drill the foundations maybe a little lower because you have that rock there. Here, we're on clay, so you have to drill your foundations deeper on that. But what I would say is the issue that we have is we have to prioritize our projects. So our projects are prioritized by law. And so we have to consider things like condition, traffic counts, and economic development activity. There's basically 8 standards that the code has been put out there. So when we do a prioritization list that we bring to our commission, so our commission votes on a prioritization list, it is based on the standards that are in the code. And so those standards will basically, and I'll just say this, if a bridge is rated, 2 bridges are rated as poor, the bridge that is got the more traffic on it usually is the one that gets the ranking because it's based on basically the greatest need for the greatest number.
Okay, thank you.
Last call, anyone else? All right, thank you so much. Again, thank you to you and your team for being here today. Thank you for what you do. Appreciate you. All right, with that, we are going to move into the next part of our agenda, the public testimony. Just a couple of housekeeping things here. We will have a 3-minute limit today. Neil will be keeping our time clock. When you hear the buzzer, please be respectful of everyone's time so that we can hear everyone that has signed up. Complete your thought and then please finish up, wrap up so that someone else can be heard and have their 3 minutes. Also, as a reminder, we have local regional DOT staff here. If you want to be heard or speak to someone regarding a pothole, an intersection, something local, a local issue that you're having with the road, please see Tim and our DOT representatives. They're still in the back. They're going to be here the whole time. To our members, you have public testimony, a written testimony that we've received from members of the public in your notebook. And also, if you are a member of the public, if you're listening to the live stream, or if you didn't sign up today and you wish to be heard, please submit your written comments to scHouseEPW@schouse.gov. Again, that's scHouseEPW@schouse.gov. All of that testimony is passed along to all of our members. So please submit that if you wish to submit your written comments. For our members, remember, we are on a listening tour. This is for members of the public to be heard so that we can better understand and hear from them things going on, the problems, different things that have been identified. So this is not a time for questions. This is not a time for debate. We're going to listen to members of the public. And again, that will be 3 minutes. Mills will keep the time clock. When you hear the buzzer, please wrap up your thought, wrap up your presentation so someone else can be heard. And with that, the first person, Mayor Phil Cromer. Mayor Cromer. City. Welcome, Mayor Cromer.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good afternoon, everyone. To begin, I want to thank you for coming to Beaufort and for allowing the public to comment on ways that we can improve the state and our region's transportation infrastructure. I also appreciate the support that SCDOT has shown to our community, especially during a recent visit to Beaufort to meet with local officials and the team at USC Beaufort. We are very encouraged by the proposed traffic calming measures that are taking place at Bellamy Curve, particularly the striping plan, and also the idea of a boardwalk feature that would make it safer for students and others to go between their dormitories and the college, creating a safer buffer. We do, however, have a few suggestions from our staff that we believe could strengthen communication and coordination with DOT and local governments. First, we sometimes see DOT subcontractors show up unannounced to perform duties, making it difficult for us to inform our citizens of any lane closings or any other impacts that may affect them. And when that happens, we end up with a phone call, and usually they're not very pleased. In short, improved transparency and predictability in maintenance, scheduling, and communication would be appreciated. Second, we've noticed that most communication between the district and our district engineers, local engineers, takes place through email. While that's efficient, there are times when a quick phone call can expedite a response or resolve an issue quickly. Third, we've experienced some inconsistencies in the permitting process. And even when our team responds quickly, usually within 24 hours, those responses sometimes reset or delay the overall review process timeline. We ask that this process be reviewed for greater consistency and predictability. Fourth, we would like for DOT to take another look at how in-kind projects like streetscapes are evaluated. For example, our Duke Street project, we had some design elements we approved early on in the project that later on during review and subsequent phases were questioned, resulting in further construction delays. So we would ask that consistency across phases help cities like ours to be able to budget and plan accordingly. Finally, and most importantly, we ask that DOT take a closer look at traffic planning from a macro level with regards to critical intersections and corridors in rapidly developing areas like ours. In addition, integrating sea level rise and resiliency along with better traffic impact assessments is paramount to having safer roads and improved mobility and quality of life for residents and visitors alike. In closing, I want to emphasize that Beaufort greatly appreciates our collaborative partnership with SCDOT, and we thank you for having these public engagement sessions. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Appreciate you being here. Next up is Jared Fralix with Beaufort County Transportation Agency. Welcome, Jared. Thanks for being here.
Supposed to hold it like this?
Yeah.
All right, thank you for the opportunity to speak. Thank you, Representative Crawford and Representative Erickson for championing this ad hoc committee. This is an example of clear leadership, responsive leadership of elected officials engaging the public to shape meaningful state legislation. So thank you. And a special thanks to Representative Erickson for bringing this forum to our front door here in Beaufort County. I'd like to start with a simple observation about how words matter. The title of this forum is Modernization of SCDOT. Suggests that something's broken or outdated or in need of fixing. But those of us who've worked closely with DOT, myself included, know that that's not the story. And that they're really discussing and witnessing a story of evolution, a shift from good to great. And I've seen this firsthand myself over the last several years. Firstly, with DOT executing a bold 10-year vision plan that focuses on safety, interstate, bridges, and resurfacing. And it's a testament that even I can stand here and say the priorities that DOT set forth in that 10-year plan, an effectiveness of their plan itself. SCDOT successfully supported and implemented a 12-cent gas tax increase, a decision that's produced more than 5 times the amount of road work across South Carolina in less than just 8 years. And then through thoughtful leadership transitions from Secretary Hall to Secretary Powell, SCDOT has shown what true succession plan looks like in action for our state. Secretary Powell's been an exceptional partner to local governments, especially here in Beaufort County. He's been approachable, solutions-oriented, and deeply collaborative. Along with Deputy Secretary Rob Perry, both whom have local government experience, they bring invaluable understanding to the challenges and opportunities that communities face on the local level. As we look ahead, the path forward must continue to focus on safety, but growth and partnership as well. For safety, we need to move from reactive to proactive, using technology and predictive data to identify and address high-risk locations before the accidents occur. For growth, we ask that inside SCDOT's Momentum 2050 plan, that it gives strong consideration to primary US and SC routes that serve regional lifelines, especially for areas like Beaufort County who lack any interstate access. And for partnership, local governments now contribute nearly $400 million per year through local option sales tax. Much of that's invested on the state system. Strengthening the local public agency LPA process that will help align these local efforts along with state efforts to deliver projects faster and more effectively for state citizens in South Carolina. Again, thank you for the opportunity to provide input into this important process, one that's not about fixing what's wrong, but about building what's right to take South Carolina's transportation level to the next system to the next level. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Next is Van Willis, Town Manager, Town of Fort Worth. Mr. Willis? Hi, Stinky. It might have the Willis hair thing going on today. Willis, you have that competition going.
Well, you kind of stole my thunder. I canvassed Port Royal before I got here, and I got a list of all the potholes, but.
Wait, I'm used to getting the text message that there's an accident at a certain.
Absolutely, yes. I used to deliver my daughter to John Paul every morning on 170. So Jared didn't make eye contact with me as I walked by him. So. Anyways, I do understand the problems you guys are going through. We, Port Royal, when I got here, 2002, the population was 3,950 people. Now it's 16,000.
Wow.
We're home to Marine Recruit Depot, Paris Island, as well as the Naval Hospital, Beaufort. And so we get it. As far as road networks go and ownership, for those of you who don't know, the town owns its entire network below Revo Road. And I see Elizabeth Penn Sanders back there. She convinced me to take some roads on the other side. So we get it. We have a budget of only about $11 million. We just did about $3 million worth of resurfacing. So we understand. As far as modernization, I don't have much to offer there other than, what we're currently going through is an effort for traffic calming, speed humps. We've done 20 plus in that road network. We're looking to y'all to partner with us on some additional ones. So we've got some applications submitted. I will say that y'all have been great partners with us, particularly on the road ownership issue, but as well as the speed humps. And for those of you that may have passed the Naval Hospital on the way in, we started that process in 2016. It took us 9 years to get that sidewalk completed. I saw Craig Wynn here as well. He's been fantastic. For those in the upstate that inherited Megan Grove, who's up in the upstate now, perseverance, fantastic job. So as far as modernization, traffic calming is key. I also think that technology relative to signalization, I think is huge. For those of you that sit at intersections and wonder why in the hell we sit here for an extra 30 seconds, I think that's huge. I truly, truly do. So applaud your efforts. Keep it up. I only needed a minute and a half and I'm done. Thank you.
Good job. Thanks, Sam. Appreciate you being here. Thanks for all the work in Fort Royal. Next up is Mark Cutler, Chairman of the Board of Beaufort Regional Chamber of Commerce. Hi, Mark.
Good afternoon, co-chairs Representative Erickson, Representative Crawford, members of the House, and Secretary Powell, welcome. My name is Mark Cutler, and I serve as the chairman of the board for the Beaufort Regional Chamber of Commerce. I'm also a senior vice president at Coastal States Bank. Thank you for the opportunity to speak to you today about infrastructure investments that are critical to continued competitiveness and quality of life around South Carolina and right here in Beaufort County. We're at a pivotal moment. South Carolina is the third fastest growing state. Beaufort County ranks among the top 10 fastest growing counties. Growth leads opportunity, but planning for those opportunities is imperative. We understand that SCDOT must maintain the fourth largest state highway system, as you mentioned earlier, in the country. That's a challenge. And that's why we're here. Our roadways are connectors, the way we get to and from on a daily basis. South Carolina motorists travel over 60 billion miles on roads each year, and 453 billion in commodities and goods depend on our roadways for delivery. So we thank you for your work. The needs of our residents and businesses are great when it comes to transportation infrastructure, which must keep pace and support our balanced growth to seize opportunities of a strong economy and a quality of life. Along with the South Carolina Chamber and many of our partners and organizations, the Beaufort Regional Chamber believes we must continue adopting policies that encourage economic development as we compete with other southeastern states for talent and job creation. So let me use the Beaufort Regional as a case study for why these investments matter so urgently. The data tells us a compelling story. From 2010 to 2022, our regional workforce increased by over 2,500 workers. During that same period, we saw a 45.6% increase in commutes over 10 miles and 14.3% increase in commutes over 50 miles.
Wow.
Today, only 31% of people who live in our region also work here. And to us, that's a problem. In addition, 65% of workers employed in our region commute from outside. That means that's a massive issue that we feel like we must face. And around Beaufort County, this data is from 2022, meaning that the situation has likely intensified over the past 3 years. So what does this mean? It means our roads aren't just local connectors, they're regional economic arteries. They're how workers reach the 3 military bases that we visit that really protect our area in the national defense. They're how businesses move goods and services. They're how families evacuate during natural disasters. And they're increasingly how our residents experience their quality of life every single day. The business community consistently cites infrastructure as one of our top challenges. Time spent in traffic doesn't just frustrate commuters, it impacts productivity, it impacts recruitment, it impacts retention, and ultimately whether businesses choose South Carolina or look elsewhere. At the Chamber, our 2025 public policy agenda makes our top state priority clear: to ensure South Carolina remains a top destination for employers and employees. We cannot achieve this goal without strategic investment in transportation infrastructure that enables sustainable growth and regional connectivity. South Carolina has momentum. We're growing, we're competitive, we're attracting attention from across the nation, but infrastructure is the foundation upon which all of this growth matters and either thrives or stalls. The Beaufort region exemplifies both the promise and the pressure points of South Carolina's growth story. So, we respectfully urge this committee to continue to prioritize modernization efforts and funding that will keep South Carolina moving, literally and economically. Our businesses, our military families, our future depend on the decisions that we make today. So thank you for your time, and thank you for your service to the state.
Thank you, Mark, for being here. Thanks to the Chamber for having those priorities. Appreciate you. Yeah, very good statistics. Next up is Mr. Dennis Ross, but Mr. Ross, you have mostly local issues that you signed up for. I'm assuming that you talked with the folks in the back. If you have a state issue, then I'd welcome you to the podium, but it needs to be statewide.
It will be.
Then please come up.
How about that? Madam Chairs,
Welcome.
thanks. It's great to be here. Esteemed state representatives. Across the state, we've observed South Carolina Department of Transportation's ongoing efforts to catch up with the rapid growth that is occurring daily. Large retail complexes, residential developments, and apartment complexes are being constructed to accommodate the influx of individuals seeking to relocate to one of the most aesthetically pleasing states in the nation. In Beaufort County, we encounter a pressing challenge in maintaining the delicate equilibrium between meeting the demands of wildlife, fragile ecosystems, and overstressed infrastructure. The challenge is exacerbated by the many developers that frequently view the Lowcountry as a crown jewel and an untapped opportunity for substantial returns on investment with the promise of substantial government revenues without acknowledging that they're gradually, eroding a way of life that many people hold dear. We cannot continue to believe that the current practice of impact fees charged to developers can solely dictate the manner in which roads are constructed or improved in a piecemeal manner. It's time to gain a clear understanding of the current state of our roads and their construction, design, and most importantly, how to mitigate traffic congestion amidst a never-ending influx of population growth that's already been stated. The proposed bipartisan concurrency legislation represents a significant advancement in assisting South Carolina in its growth while preserving its unique characteristics. The legislation would facilitate infrastructure development that aligns with growth without adversely affecting current residents, their lifestyle, and most important, the delicate equilibrium of our precious wildlife and ecosystems. Concurrency can harmoniously complement existing projects, such as the Green Space Initiative's rural and critical land use programs, implementing best management practices for safeguarding sensitive lands during the design and construction of new roadways would be more appealing to current residents compared to the current practices that frequently intrude upon our way of life. In addition, the local discussions involving citizen inputs would be imperative to identify problem areas and determine potential issues by gathering local knowledge rather than just solely relying on sometimes unrealistic traffic impact formulas or best estimates derived from traffic counts that are often outdated or differ from actual day-to-day traffic loads. In pursuit of forward-thinking vision, it's also advisable to consider implementing moratoriums on large-scale developments or retail centers on a county-by-county basis. Moratoriums have demonstrated their efficacy in assisting cities and counties that are grappling with infrastructure improvements for the residents. We need to employ a paradigm shift coupled with holistic approach to addressing traffic congestion and road construction. We need to foster collaboration and generate innovative ideas that will benefit all stakeholders. We need to remember that citizens matter more than the developers. Let's start thinking outside the box. I thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Ross, appreciate it. Ms. Matthews, Julie Matthews, I would ask the same question. You've got a local traffic increase on one specific road. Okay with handling that with the local folks? I not hear anything else. I'll pass over. Pat Allison, bringing regional marine transportation system.
Hello.
Welcome, Mr. Allison.
Thank you. I'm the chairman of the South Carolina Intercoastal Transportation Management Association, or SITMA. We are a registered nonprofit corporation. At one time, the state of South Carolina had a robust ferry system that operated not only in Beaufort County, but also in the Charleston region. However, unlike most other states, South Carolina discontinued its ferry services as it began its wide-ranging bridge and roadway projects. Today, almost 40 states have a ferry program. Some are state-operated and others are public-private partnership. SCDOT is proposing the reintroduction of the ferry system that would connect the Lowcountry via the water with a fleet of 4 to 6 ferries that would have service stops at Beaufort, Port Royal, St. Helena, Pinckney Island, the Fusky Island, Fields Cut, and Savannah, with multiple stops that would satisfy the many transportation requirements of residents, workers, and tourists. The result would be unleashing vast economic development opportunities and jobs utilizing the intercoastal waterway. As SCDOT has been developing our plan, we've had dozens of meetings with residents and officials of the state, Beaufort County, Jasper County, and Savannah, and the result of these meetings so far has been overwhelming support. SCDOT is currently working on securing funding to begin a South Carolina coastal marine transportation network feasibility study that will include a cost-benefit analysis. The study, if funded, would be unbiased and would be undertaken by Southern Carolina Alliance and Stantec, a multinational engineering consulting firm. In 2008, the SCDOT Multimodal Transportation Plan said, and I quote, "Public transit connecting people and places through multiple passenger, land, or water-based means will contribute to the state's continued economic growth through a dedicated and sound investment approach as a viable mobility option accessible to all South Carolina residents and visitors." Unquote, end quote. We agree. In 2004, the Southern Beaufort Regional County Plan said, quote, "Ferry service is a possible alternative mode of transportation given the region's many navigable waterways and the potential to reduce traffic demands on US 278 and SC 170, end quote. Again, we agree. The most recent studies show that more than 130 million passengers ride ferries annually in the US. To support this access, the Federal Highway Administration's ferry boat program has distributed funds to 35 states in recent years to improve ferry service. SCDMA would like to ask this committee to consider utilizing ferries on the Intercoastal Waterway, which is, of course, a marine highway, as an alternative to the SCDOT highway program, and that would help alleviate road and bridge congestion.
Yeah, PTSD. Can you go? Thank you.
Now you're good. My committee's not. Well,
Got that thing
they couldn't
crunched
hear it
up, don't
back,
you?
sorry. We got a lot of spans in there. I apologize. Thank you, Mr. Allison. I appreciate your comments and the data on that system. Next up, Carmen Avon Manning. Welcome. Thank you for being here.
Good afternoon. My name is Carmen Avon Manning, and I'm a retired civil and environmental professional engineer, and at times had responsibility for safety at major chemical facilities with over 1,000 employees in the middle of residential areas. Thank you for the work that you're doing and for having these meetings and all the presentations. I've learned quite a bit. 2 years ago, a neighbor asked me to review our MPO's tip about a local road. I got to the sentence that said the safety target was 1,068 fatalities. That's what we're trying to reach. I went to the next meeting. I explained to them the safety target is always 0. The 1,068 was the number for the entire state. While I had their attention, because I got the same looks that I've gotten since the 70s, the deer in the headlights look, I said, let me talk to you about visibility. We need more lighting. There's turtles on Hilton Head, but they're not everywhere else. So we need more lighting. 2, no matter where I've lived, the stripping was 6 inches wide, not 4 inches wide. 3, replace the yellow lanterns with black lanterns with yellow backboards because you can see them against the sun. These are proven FHA countermeasures, and they get 30% improvement. They don't require transportation referendum. And after many attempts, after 2 years, the Beaufort County Transportation Committee last 2 weeks ago said they are going to try to do the stripping 6 inches wide. The MPO sent me a response in an email and said they have a grant looking for more paint, paper paint. At our next meeting, several people are there. I'm going to pass around the basket. Okay. I was very pleased to learn from Secretary Powell's presentation that there's 20% improvement on the rural roads for visibility. So I asked you, let's change the spec and do it all over. It saves lives. Okay, second thing is I'm an engineer. Engineering controls work. Awareness campaigns, posters are wonderful. Discipline and enforcement, also great, okay? What we really need is a change in the culture. You are talking to somebody who's a 50-year veteran, New York and New Jersey roads. I have never seen what I've seen here daily. People flying through red lights, lane departures, distracted driving. It's absurd, okay? And we're hurting people. We hurt people every day. Is that Mike already?
Yeah.
Well, the reason why in the safety world, in chemical safety, we talk about having a culture, okay? If there were more than 2 people on a phone call, we started with a safety topic. Now, I know you can't do that, okay? But what you can do, I ask all of you, your legislators and key leaders in your community, go to a local high school and give them a coupon. The kids in the car, give them a coupon if they will have their seatbelts on. There are things you can do, because the bottom line is we don't want to hurt people. And if it means more paint, buy more paint. That's it. And I do want to thank you for changing the environmental, thank God. We have a dedicated environmental agency in this state, and they will be hearing from me.
Thank you, Carmen. That was very helpful. John Black.
You're ready, right? You're ready. And thank you for facilitating this opportunity to be heard from your constituents around the state. I'm a board member of the Low Country Regional Transportation Authority, LRTA, otherwise known as the Palmetto Breeze. It operates down here in Beaufort, Jasper, Colton, Allendale, and Hampton counties. I've been fortunate enough to spend 40 years in serving public transportation throughout the country, most of it in public transit. So I'm covering a little bit of prejudiced view here, but one of the things, modernization, I look at modernization, I think it's a reset moment for the committee here and for the state. One of the things I've seen throughout my career is areas of major domestic growth. They exist around the country. Here in the Southeast, they've recently been experienced in the last 20, 30 years. Atlanta, Georgia, Charlotte, Charleston, Jacksonville, huge demographic growth. It's after the roads get so congested that people start saying, how can we get more people off the road? Where is transportation, mass transportation that can help us out? I know Charleston's right now looking at BRT options for a lot of their projects. My point is that while increased funding for maintenance of way and for expansion and improvements to a lot of our roadways are definitely necessary with this dynamic demographic growth that we're seeing down here, equally as important is having a public transit network and option that will support your constituents. The impressive growth and economic expansion down here requires reliable transportation alternatives that allow workers, residents, and students opportunities that if they don't own a car, if they can't drive, they have disabilities, if they're too old to drive, whatever it's going to be, they have options beyond owning an automobile to get them from here to there. This area is getting more crowded every single day. It's staring us in the face. I think most of the people in the room that live in this area can see it, but it's also throughout the state. I've been to Columbia. I've been up to Charleston. It's there. And right now, while you talk about the dedicated tax and things like that within the gasoline tax, part of that and more of that needs to go to public transportation. So I respectfully ask that the committee consider dedicated and increased investment in public transit infrastructure to improve the lives of your constituents, for the improvement of the state and local economy, and to contribute to an environmentally prudent and sustainable future. Lastly, in the Low Country, and I think around the state, public transit also has an added benefit, and it is a current tool and an important tool of your local emergency response in cases of storms or force majeure events that do happen down here. So I ask you again to really just relook at this and look at it as a reset moment. Can you carve out a piece of this going forward that is more friendly and user-friendly for public transit? Thank you for your time.
Perfect. Thank you very much, John. Trudy, your name is on here, but you're good. Thank you. Ray, and I didn't write his, I think it's Cipollini, but I can't tell exactly. Did I murder it?
A little bit, I pronounce it Ray Cipollini.
Cipollini, got it.
Yes.
Thank you. Good to see you.
Good to be here. I want to thank Representatives Erickson and Crawford and also the Secretary for their presentations, for having this forum for us to bring our points to you all. Once again, I'm Ray Cipollini, a resident of Bluffton, Beaufort County. I'm also the treasurer of the Low Country Bike and Walk Advocates. We're a nonprofit, and our name kind of speaks for itself. I have two topics for today. One is that South Carolina is currently ranked 47th out of 50 states in bicycle and pedestrian infrastructure, according to the League of American Bicyclists annual report card. And that'll lead into the second piece, which is how do we move up the list? The League report card uses criteria such as funding, safety, infrastructure, laws, planning, and capacity in determining the factors in the state rankings. We're 47 out of 50. We're down from 44 3 years ago. It's the wrong direction, folks. On a percentage scale, planning is one of our bright spots at 63%, 100% being we're doing great. 63% in planning is our high point. That highlight, to me, demonstrates that we're really good at planning, or at least decently good at planning, but planning never sees the light of day. We're well below average in all other aspects. No secret that bicycle and pedestrian fatalities are increasing dramatically throughout the United States and here in South Carolina. In the last 10 years, fatalities have doubled. Instead of getting better at safety, we're getting worse. It's interesting to me that the highest rate of fatalities, the highest increase of the rate of fatalities is occurring on state-controlled highways and roadways. The big question is always funding. The League has identified 2% of federal transportation funding as the benchmark for bicycle and pedestrian projects to make our roads safer for all road users. The USDOT has identified 30 funding sources for states to obtain funds to support these projects. I'd like to know if South Carolina is getting any of these funds. There's 30 programs available. But on the street level, we're not seeing much of it at all. Second piece, dovetailing from the first piece, is we're about 20 years behind in the developers in terms of infrastructure. One only needs to look at the establishment of US 278 in the 1960s and the widening projects throughout the 80s and 90s. Nothing was done to add or improve bicycle or pedestrian infrastructure with any of those widening projects. I realize my time is up. I just want you to know that I'm touching on a lot of shortcomings here. I appreciate you folks listening, and I appreciate that you take this to heart. And remember, we're 47 in the country in terms of bicycle pedestrian infrastructure. We need to do better.
Thanks.
Thank you all.
Appreciate your information and your staff. Guys, let's not, I've let it go, but it's getting a little louder. That's a little disruptive and it could be just unnerving for folks when they speak. So let's not do applause and things, please. Next up, Warren Parker. Warren, there he is, coming back. Nice to see you, Warren.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
My name is Warren Parker, and I'm currently serving as the chair of the Military Enhancement Committee here in Beaufort County. Pleasure to be here today. Many thanks to Representative Erickson and Representative Crawford and your colleagues for this opportunity. I'd ask the question, why is the chair of the Military Enhancement Committee here today? but I think history has a lesson for us. Starting in July of 1919, an Army truck convoy consisting of 81 trucks, cars, motorcycles, and trailers set out from Washington, D.C. with over 200 soldiers bound for San Francisco. They ultimately arrived on September the 5th. You can do the math on that from July the 7th to September the 5th. 3,000 miles. They made the trip in 60 days at a little over 5.5 miles an hour. The War Department had a young lieutenant colonel, 29-year-old lieutenant colonel, along on that trip. He made general observations about the road conditions along the way. He said they were too narrow, and some formerly excellent roads had been allowed to deteriorate without maintenance. In such cases, it seems evident that money spent at the proper time would have kept the road in good condition. So from 1919 to now, we're in the same place. The convoy, due to conditions, as I said, made a little over 5 miles an hour. As many as you probably know, the observer was then Lieutenant Colonel Dwight Eisenhower, and many credit his experience with the concept behind the interstate highway system. Today, I'd like to, with the MEC, to emphasize how important the infrastructure is to both our national defense and to our bases here in Beaufort. Two priorities really, and I think one is safety. Safety in terms of resilience projects that help with the survivability of our bases in the face of hurricanes and tropical storms. And the other one is a road network that can support evacuation needs for our sailors and Marines when the time comes to leave during those storms. Maintaining that infrastructure is important to those Marines and sailors for their safety and their family members. Finally, the quality of life for those Marines and sailors is important. I don't speak in any way for Brigadier General Williams at Paris Island, but he has prioritized bringing quality Marines here to Beaufort. And we're seeing it's vitally important in making Beaufort a place where Marines and sailors want to serve, that we have a robust road network that contributes to their quality of life. Thanks very much, Representative Erickson, and appreciate it.
Thank you. I appreciate you speaking out for our military folks. Mr. Reno, you have a dangerous intersection noted. I'm going to assume you got with Mr. Henderson and discuss that. Okay, good to go. Yarley Steedley. Good to see you, Yarley. How are you?
Good, how about you? Good, thank you.
Okay.
I'm gonna try and get through this without coughing, so bear with me. My name is Yarley Steedley. I'm Government Relations Director for Coastal Conservation League. We are a statewide, homegrown, independent conservation nonprofit in South Carolina. We have offices in Charleston, Beaufort, Conway, and Columbia. I'm happy to be here with you today. CCL supports your desire to deal with growth, pressure, and encourage you to put protective measures in place that will result in well-planned development conserving our state's natural resources. The subject of concurrency has been mentioned by several entities, not only during these hearings, but throughout the legislative session. H 4050 is a bipartisan bill that addresses this as part of the comprehensive planning process, and we urge you to support it. The bill has broad stakeholder support, including support from your average everyday South Carolinian who seeks to improve and preserve their quality of life for their families. Concurrency ensures that growth in a community may proceed when adequate infrastructure is in place or built concurrently with development. Infrastructure can be roads, schools, or even the existing capacity of emergency services. Concurrency can create quality living standards for newcomers interstate, as well as preserve the same standards for those who've lived here for decades. Infrastructure planning and population are inextricably linked, and it makes sense to coordinate these two things together. We understand the timeline of highway project delivery is a concern, and we suggest a thoughtful, well-informed approach to address it. The potential for environmental harm and streamlining is a real concern, and sometimes these harms cannot be mitigated once the harm has occurred. Everyone should be concerned about wetlands protection, particularly after the frequency of flooding we've seen in recent years, followed by ever-increasing insurance rates. I know we can all relate to that. It doesn't take much to exacerbate conditions to the point of disastrous downstream impacts if poor planning is the cause. New highways can increase stormwater runoff and simultaneously destroy wetlands that absorb and disperse water. NEPA assignment has been brought up as a potential remedy to speed up projects. Under this arrangement, the responsibility for federal NEPA compliance shifts from the Federal Highway Administration to the state. Whether Federal Highways or SCDOT is responsible for NEPA compliance, the same requirements of the federal agencies must be met. Even so, we believe the General Assembly should take an eyes wide open approach to the impacts of undergoing NEPA assignment before the state proceeds down this path. I want to be clear, CCL is not up here in opposition to NEPA assignment. We just want to make sure information is out there about it. When considering NEPA assignment, some of the potential impacts are: 1, states must waive sovereign immunity protections. This exposes the state to broader liabilities and greater risk from legal challenges, and we ask the committee to seek input from the State Insurance Reserve Fund and the Attorney General for a comprehensive assessment of the implications this may have in terms of risk and resources. The cost of administration is likely greater than the current arrangement, and daily oversight of quality assurance and quality control becomes the sole responsibility of the state. After being granted NEPA assignment status, future legal challenges will go through the Federal Administrative Procedures Act, and cases may be brought in federal court to be defended by the state, and any court-ordered remedies must be carried out at the state level. And this can lead to costs and delays without the protection of sovereign immunity defense. I could go on. In the interest of time, I won't, but many of you know how to reach me. I'm happy to answer any questions for you later on. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Darla. Mr. Robert Pollard, I think you also have an intersection issue.
I'll take it up with the
Perfect. Thank you so much, sir. Next up is Enid Carranza. There you are. Hi, Enid. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for being here. Thank you all for being here, for coming to Beaufort and listening to us. My name is Enid Carranza. I work for Palmetto Breeze. We serve 5 counties: Allendale, Colleton, Jasper, Beaufort, and one more. So what I want to tell you today is about people that lives here, what we need. So the number one thing is Beaufort. I'm a resident of Hilton Head Island for 24 years. So I see how things grow so much, especially after COVID. And it's a good thing. I think like who live here is proud of that growth. It's bringing jobs and bringing money, bringing tourism, but that's also bringing a lot of problems for us. It's bringing the cost of housing is skyrocketed here. So we're pushing our workforce outskirts, especially educators, healthcare, hospitality, and public servants. That workforce shortage is enormous, especially in Hilton Head, but I know it goes across the border, all Beaufort. Us being so close to Savannah, Georgia, many people have decided just to work in the other state, taking their talent and their tax money with them. Public transportation, it could be a solution to this problem that we have here, especially on workforce and safety concerns. Dedicated funding in this bill for public transit can help us grow, and with this legislation must be included a clear commitment to sustainability, dedicated funding to public transit. Reliable transit means fewer cars on the roads, fewer accidents, and less need of emergency response, and less wear and tears of our highways. Public transportation improves efficiency across the board. Get workers on time to work, get more visitors to visit more areas through our counties. And of course, gonna get families to medical care and also be safe and affordable. As you shape this new legislation, I respectfully urge you to make dedicated funding for public transit a priority. Investing in transit is not just about buses. It's about safety, savings, and mostly it's about smart community growth. It's how we keep South Carolina growing in the right direction. And I thank you for your service and for being here today.
Excuse me, ma'am. Could you spell your name for me, please?
Yes, I can get you on.
You got that?
Yes.
Okay. All right,
I'm
thanks.
sorry. No.
I work with the medics. You find me there.
We've got all that.
Thank you.
Members,
Thank you.
anybody, anyone who's spoken today, we have their information when they signed up.
Okay.
Thank you. Yes. Up next, I'm going to murder the name. I'm sorry. Felicia Lamarca? Did I get any of it right?
Yes,
Felicia?
you got the marker correct.
I got half. B or P?
It's
L? Help me out.
It's an F and it's Felice.
Felice. All right, I'm sorry. I was going back and forth between the F and the P because you have a pretty little loop, but I couldn't.
Thank you.
Yeah, sorry about
Felice
that.
Lamarca.
Welcome.
And welcome back to Beaufort. And thank you all for coming. We need these sessions, and we do appreciate it. I am a 30+ year permanent resident of Sea Pines on Hilton Head. Me and my husband also own property in Okatee and Beaufort. So, and I'm a realtor, so I am up and down the road for 30+ years. When I am staying in Beaufort, it takes me an hour and a half to get to Hilton Head, to Sea Pines, specifically. We are told that South Carolina Department of Transportation is supposed to synchronize the lights. The problem is Bluffton. When I hit every single light, it takes me more than an hour and a half. Wow. When I don't hit every single light, and I'm not speeding, it takes me an hour to get to the Sea Pines gate. Please, please speed that process up in getting those lights synchronized. We've been told it's gonna happen, we don't know when. But everyone that works all over this county will appreciate that. That's number one. My second, modernization. I was very vague, I said transportation, but this is modernization. And the gentleman who stood up and talked about ferries is so spot on. I've been laughed at for 30 years standing up and saying we need a ferry system. We need a ferry system from Savannah to Hilton Head, from Beaufort to Hilton Head, from Hilton Head to Bluffton. And we don't just need a people ferry system. Go take the Mayport Ferry from North Jacksonville across to Jacksonville Beaches. Incredible. I need my car. A car ferry. We need several car ferries. And then all of the people coming to work in their trucks and SUVs and tearing up the roads that we can't afford to fix and get on the ferry, many of them, and get to where they need to go. So please, modernization, think outside the box. We need to stop building roads that we have to continue to take care of. We need to build other modes of transportation. Love the Palmetto Breeze. It's not feasible for everyone. I need my trunk every single day, everything that's in it. So please put that on your agenda. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. I would ask you to please talk with the local DOT folks. Some of our cities municipalities have pieces of their own synchronization. So sometimes it's not just the state, it's passed along to the locals, and they can give you that specific.
Give me that person's.
Yes. Go see Tim, and Tim can tell you exactly how it goes. Tim, raise your hand and you can.
No, Tim, don't do it, Tim. Go, yeah.
Tim's shooting the
Sorry, Tim.
deer stand.
All right. Next up, David H. Baker, LCBWA. I think that's an organization and not all the degrees, but.
Hardly.
That's all right. Hi, David. How are you?
Hello.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you. I appreciate all of you coming up here to Beaufort, to our low country to see us. As mentioned, I'm with the Low Country Bike Walk Advocates, as with Ray. I'm the vice president, and we're trying to work together with everybody to improve the transportation in this area. As a resident of Jasper County, I'm witnessing explosive economic and population growth throughout the county, observing inadequate, outdated, and unsafe rural transportation infrastructure, which is unable to support the current growth. However, as a voter, I was pleased that Jasper County leadership and residents understood the current condition and have voted and implemented a 1-cent sales tax to improve the county transportation infrastructure. More encouraging was a positive vote for bonding a portion of the tax to start many of the projects expeditiously. To fully realize the benefits of the revenue stream, county needs from the SCDOT predictable and expeditious approval of design and construction of these projects so that the residents can see the benefits of them quickly. Notoriously, Jasper County has been one of the most unsafe counties in South Carolina for pedestrians and bicycles, according to the SCDOT themselves. The result of this inadequate and unsafe infrastructure is that local population has few attractive opportunities for physical exercise, which has resulted in diabetes and heart disease at epidemic levels for all age levels, according to the Department of Public Health. This must be corrected, and the local leadership should have a strong voice in prioritizing projects that make walking and bicycling more attractive for the residents. SCDOT reforms are needed to permit more local control of the infrastructure design with faster design approvals and less red tape. Local governments need to have consistent and stable funding for infrastructure to build multi-use pathways to improve the safety of pedestrians and bicyclists. This will have direct positive health benefits for the community. And I urge this committee to recommend reforms that result in more local control, more consistent decision-making, with more infrastructure for pedestrians and bicyclists. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate you being here and sharing this comment.
Thank you.
Next up is Dean Moss. Great to see you, Dean. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Representative, both of you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being in our area. I was going to talk about the trails too, but you've been hit pretty hard. I'm chairman of the board of Friends of the Spanish Moss Trail, which is a bike trail here in Beaufort, which is very important. The other thing I want to talk about, and this is a little specific, but a lot of the water quality work, I'm also on the board of the Portville South Foundation. If you look at the drainage from bridges, you take a bridge and you take the water that flows off that bridge, particularly when that rainfall has not occurred for 2 or 3, 4, 5 days, and you measure the water quality that comes off those bridges, it is astoundingly horrible. And so what we are recommending to you consider is to develop mechanisms for containing the water that comes off those bridges, collect it, and do something with it to keep it from going into the water bodies.
That's especially important here in Beaufort County. We have so many bridges, we have so much water. The water is so important to our economy, to our recreation, and to the natural environment that we live in. So that's my basis for tonight. Thank you very much. I appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you, Dave. Appreciate that. Water quality is highly important in our area. Next person up is, I believe, Brenda Gardner. Did I get the name right? Brenda? You were unsilent. You gonna talk to us today? Good.
It'll be very short. My name is Brenda Gardner, and I thank you. My name is Brenda Gardner. Thank you all for being here, and thank you for the good work you're doing. Mine is very simple. It's in the form of a question. I live on Warsaw Island, and now I know who Tim is, so I'll try to talk to him. But my thing is modernization, okay? I came here, and I've been here since 2004. I own my home on Warsaw. Talking about modernization. I would love to see, and I've been in lots of meetings, but since it's stayed a while now, I would like for you all to think about doing something for Warsaw. Daily, it is a struggle. I never know when I can leave my island. I have one way on, one way off. I would love to be able to say, oh, I can go. I have to listen to the news or get information from other people, whether we have spring tide, high tide, or whatever. And this is just all these years of being here. I worked at the Marine Corps base for 17 years, and I never knew whether I would be able to get off the island to get to work. And I never knew when I would be able to come back. And the thing is, one day I don't mean to get choked up, but it does. I was taking my husband to the doctor, which was very important. I could not see around the curve. When I knew anything, I was in the water. And if I slowed down, I would float. And when I got people from Data, people from Beaufort, I didn't realize it, but they were watching me. My husband and I could have died, but thank God. So this is all right. What are you gonna do for Warsaw Island? Okay, thank you.
I think what you're addressing is low-lying roads everywhere.
But we are on ocean water.
You are, you're not specific, but the seasonal tides are a problem. Thank you for.
Thank you.
And now you know who to go talk to.
Yes, I'm going to.
I know, 10 overtime. A lot of good input here. Is there anyone who would like to speak that did not get a chance or has not gotten their issue at least discussed with our DOT or local folks? Hearing none. All right, Ms. Crawford, you got some business you want to bring up to the committee?
So thank you so much to all of you and everybody, members of the public, for joining us and those that are watching us online streaming. Thank you to Beaufort High School for hosting us today. Again, if you did not speak today but wish to be heard and submit your written testimony, please submit that written testimony to scHouseEPW@schouse.gov. Just a couple of final housekeeping issues. Members, please sign your forms, turn that into Mills or Emma. Very important, make sure you get that in. Our next meeting will be in Sumter on October 23rd. We will focus on industry and industry focus that day. We'll have some different associations speaking and testifying, more to come on that agenda. But also following that meeting on November the 3rd in Charleston. That is November 3rd in Charleston. That will be a focus on local governments with our counties and municipalities. Please put those two dates down. More information coming soon. Be on the lookout for an email with times and locations, more specifics, agendas, and all the good things. Are there any questions or anything? Any members have anything before we adjourn and wrap up? All right, I'm going to hand this back over to
Representative Erickson and let her close us out, but there is one thing to note. There are stairs on both sides. So as we all leave here at about the same time, if you are able to take the stairs, it will help. So please know there are stairs on both sides of the hallway out there, also an elevator if needed. I will let Chairwoman Erickson close us out. Again, thank you all so much for being here. Thank you to Beaufort High School for hosting us. Look forward to seeing you guys in Sumter. Thank you, Representative Crawford. Thank you, committee members, for making the drive. Now you see how long that drive is when I go to Columbus. It's a little haul, but we're worth it. We're worth it. Thank you, Beaufort, Beaufort County, Port Royal, Bluffton, Hilton Head. I'm pleased that we had someone from all of our different locations. I know a lot of you didn't speak, but I saw a lot of people taking notes, nodding, and even though I kind of shushed the clapping, we appreciate knowing those things too. Thank you for being here and appreciate the time. Beaufort High School, as always, came through and gave us a space. We appreciate that. At least we're in air conditioning, right?
Yeah.
We'll be sitting in hot weather. As Heather mentioned, the stairways are really important. You're not all gonna make it into the little elevator. Please be aware and please exit the building straight away. Security is gonna be watching to make sure we're in a school building, so please make sure that we're not lingering in the hallways. If you have any questions of your folks, I see Jared from the county is hanging around back there. And I know DOT is still in the room, and I would tell you again, our Department of Environmental Services are here as well to answer any questions that you may have, that they stayed the whole meeting just to be available to you. So please avail yourselves to that or to any of us members. Everyone be safe going home. God bless you and thank you for coming.
Oh, my knees.
We can't just sleep in the building.